I mean, if I give my elevator pitch, I help busy moms and dads lose 10 to 20 pounds in less than 100 days without sacrificing their lives to the gym or cooking separate meals from their family. That's the one that I came up with while going through IOCA. And funny enough, I'll tell the story because it's pretty funny. The coolest way I ever got an Instagram follower is, my wife and I had a kid 2 years ago. She gave birth. And they took him away for a hot minute because he had an air bubble trapped in his lung or whatever. And as I take him away, she looks at me and she goes, "You can schedule that vasectomy." And I was like, "Cool, I am all in for that." So literally like 3 days later, I'm calling around trying to get one scheduled, and finally get one scheduled 6 weeks later. And they roll me back in there. They lay me down. They numb my balls up. Which is a very interesting thing to feel. Like all of a sudden you just feel this like cold breeze, then all of a sudden you feel like Novocaine on your balls. And they're talking to me, and I'm actually upset at this moment because they don't have cool music playing. Like I watched every season of Nip Tuck. You're telling me that you don't have Great Balls of Fire? Like I've got big balls. Like you don't have some like testicular playlist that you have going on? Nothing. Just lame like elevator music. And I say that to them and they go, "Oh, that's pretty funny. You're pretty funny. Are you a comedian?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not a comedian at all." And the woman goes, "Well, what do you do?" And in that moment, Bryce, everything I had practiced, I was like, "Yes, I've been waiting for this. I'm going to give you my answer that I have rehearsed. I've stood in front of the mirror." Give her the whole spiel that I just gave you. And she immediately goes, "Oh my God, I need your help. Can I find you on Instagram?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can find me on Instagram." I leave, and she had followed me on Instagram. So I got an Instagram follower while my balls are out and a doctor was snipping my vas deferens. So that's the coolest story I have when it comes to getting an Instagram follower. Man, I've been doing the fitness thing for almost 10 years. I got in, I was 210 pounds at my heaviest, which is like not that fat, but is kind of fat when you're skinny fat. And at my lowest, I was like 153, so I lost about 60 pounds. And then I got into it because I was in New York City. I was trying to lose weight and found John Romanella's book. And of course, I was like, "I love you. You are AC Slater, but you're also Screech, and you love all the emo bands that I love and all the nerdy stuff that I love." And it was like, I love this man. So literally just followed everything he ever said and did. I had a great transformation. My friends started asking me, what do you do? What do you do? How did you do it? And I was like, well, fuck it. I'm getting all these questions. I guess I'm going to like get certified and become a trainer. And then 10 years ago, launched my podcast, and then launched my fitness business in like February of 2014.
I didn't realize it's been that long, dude. Wow. You beat me.
Yeah. So 9 years, and then joined John's mastermind, and then, have written for John's website, JMax Fitness, Ask Men, Bro Bible, when they were like kind of a big deal, like 8 years ago. I was writing for them all the time. So like I've written, I had a podcast for a while, but I stopped doing it because I was doing all the editing, and like fucking sucks when you're trying to edit and grow your business and do all this shit. And I just lost my passion for it. But yeah, I've been doing this for 9 years. I started working with nerds because that's who I am. And then I had a kid, and it was like, oh, now I get it. Like now I get all the shit, all the parents I worked with were dealing with. I think I now can help them better. Yeah, man, I've been doing this working out for like 15 years. Well, I guess on and off. I tried to do it in college, but drinking was more important than slamming creatine.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I had the opposite problem, dude. I was like social hermit because I was like so gym bound in college. It was fucked up. Now I'm like the opposite. Now I'm like, fuck that. I would be
go to the gym. Let's go party.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, actually, I feel like I'm kind of outgrowing my party phase too, so I don't even know what's coming up next. But no, man, I really appreciate you going through the elevator pitch, and then also letting me know some of the background, because I didn't even know some of that stuff. Like I didn't know that you started your fitness business in 2014. I didn't know that you wrote for all of those different outlets. That's actually fucking dope. We can come back to that because I actually definitely want
Absolutely.
to talk about like the writing stuff because that's something that like I put a lot of emphasis in myself. Let's talk about the dad stuff. So mentioned you started out working with like mostly nerds. And everybody needs to have a niche. Marketing towards a niche that you can greatly relate to is definitely super helpful. Now you can relate to the dad niche. So how is that going so far? So you have a 2-year-old, but let's talk about maybe some of like the other dad stuff that we talked about before we started.
Before you hit record, okay. We saw each other about a week and a half ago. I don't know when you left the shindig, but I was like 3 mollies deep at one point. It wasn't the best role that I've ever had. Like I had one moment of visuals, and honestly, I think it was I was sitting in that fucking like movie room and they were listening to, I'm sorry if people love dubstep, but I don't want to listen to a robot fart into a can. Like that's what it sounds like to me. Like I don't want to hell Satan. My brain is like, let's go to heaven and look at colors and shit. Like that's what I want. And I felt like nothing really happened for me.
Oh, I love the devil sounds, man. That's my shit.
I get it. I was talking to Holly, and we were kind of talking about like she was like into it, and I'm just like, this is not not my jade.
They're wired different, man. It's so strange.
Yeah, it's so. I don't even like lyrics. Like the house music I like is like just the music, like instrumental. There's no lyrics.
Yeah,
it's like for me, I would get lost. The lyrics would distract me. But I remember Megan and Matt McLeod asked me, sort of like how dad life is going. I was like, man, if you'd asked me this like a year and a half ago, I'd been like, I fucking hate this. Why did I do this? Yeah. But it has gotten immensely better. One, because once they are no longer a fucking potato, and you're just like, do something. You just shit yourself, and now I have to feed you again, and I've only slept 2.5 hours in 5 days. Once they start to have a personality and they're running around and they're talking and, you accidentally hear them say God damn and fuck, and you go, yes, cool. I've taught you, already. It gets a lot better. It is much, much better. The first 18 months, the first 6 months were absolutely terrible for me. But the first 18 months were really hard because he wasn't sleeping through the night. And even starting TRT like I did a year ago, because of my mental health, like I think if my kid had just slept a little better, I might have pushed TRT off for another year or two. When I look at my blood work, I was like, there's no way I could have pushed it off a year or two because it was in the 300s and it was only going to go down even more. But it has gotten better. For a long time, I think I was angry about a lot of things. Just, my son was 6 and my mom died. She was 59 and died from dementia. Like no 59-year-old should die from dementia. But she just had this crazy aggressive form. So you had that. You had my son being born. You had the long, cold winters in upstate New York, which I don't know how much longer I can do this. Like it's just cloudy for like 6 months. And I need more sunlight. Like I know the Viking blood inside of me is like, traitor, we are used to this. I'm like, no, fuck you. Like if I'm going to live somewhere, fuck the North. Sounds like an habit. I'm going to the North. Right. I'm going to the North. Right. So that was tough. I had decided to leave the nutrition company that I had been working for because they got bought by a corporation, and I knew what was going to happen. And 2 years later, I'm 100% right in what has happened. And I was like, it's time to go out on my own. So, my kid was born, and 2 weeks later, I was like, hey, Jordan Duggar, I need to join IFCA, like right now. Because at the same time, my brain immediately went, oh, fuck, you can't provide for your kid. He's going like, no, you've got to make more money. So like all of that kind of happened in the first year. And obviously not sleeping well. Now that he is sleeping through the night, minus being sick right now, has more of a personality, can laugh, can like put his dishes away. He can, well, can't really wipe himself yet, but like he can do more adult things. Like he can put his socks away, he can put his underwear away. Yeah. He can almost put his pants on without face planting. That is the funniest fucking shit, dude. When a kid is trying to put their pants on and they can't do it, they fucking face plant. It's the worst thing to laugh at, but it is the funniest thing to see. But
they're indestructible.
What?
They're indestructible.
Oh.
Yeah,
indestructible. But it has gotten much better. I would say I'm obviously I got a vasectomy at 6 weeks. I'm not doing it again. I had no intention to do it again. But I don't think I could. So, I will apologize to my son. I'm sorry you're never going to have a sibling. You'll grow up an only child. So have friends, have lots of friends that are very important to you. And get in therapy early. So when mom and dad do die, you at least have a therapist you can go to. But yeah, it's gotten much better. It's a hard thing to talk about because a lot of guys, we don't talk about it. We just do that whole, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to man up. And a lot of men don't talk about postpartum depression. And I'm very open about what I went through because they say 20% of men get it. And that number is likely underreported because men already don't talk about mental health. I know that's something that you talk about, you have suffered with as well. And I think the more of us that do talk about it, and especially for something like postpartum depression, like, yes, men can get it and it hits men differently than it obviously does, women who are going through hormonal changes. But like, bro, you're also not sleeping, like that's happening. And if I didn't have people around me who already talked about their mental health struggles, I don't think I would openly talk about what I went through. Because even my mental health struggles through life have never felt that bad until, 3 or 4 months after my kid was born and my brain was like, you should hang yourself. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. So, I mean, it was pretty bad, but now fatherhood's gotten better.
That's obviously like super heavy. And at the same time, kind of going back to the mental health as a taboo subject, I think that as we start shifting more towards like the male dominated side of things, especially like the masculine male, alpha male side of things, whenever it comes to discussing mental health, I tend to think that it gets a little bit easier for me to compartmentalize what is actually like a severe crisis or a real crisis versus what is potentially someone just trying to find a way to reach out without asking directly for help. So the way I describe that is I view a lot of people discussing their mental health as a way of saying, hey guys, like, look at me, without actually saying that explicitly, look at me, right? And this is a conversation actually I had with Chris. I don't know, have you ever met Chris, who's like my business partner, Chris Beal? He's dating M. Duncan.
I've not met him. I just see you post about him and see him post about him.
So Chris and I have had multiple discussions about this. And what interests me about mental health is not the traditional side of mental health, which is I'm anxious, I'm sad, that type of thing. What interests me more so is it's the things that aren't talked about very much. It's the true taboo side of struggle, right? And something like male postpartum depression is something that even now, you and I discussing it, it's very hard for me to even wrap my mind around like what that would be like. Obviously, I understand it. I can rationalize it in my head, but I've never been in that position of having that type of pressure on me, but then also having to deal with it in that way. So my mental health struggles are not comparable to what you've been through, right? Like they're almost completely separate categories in the way that I'm viewing them, which makes yours very interesting to me. So we have discussed a lot of people in our friend group, and a lot of people in our friend group are relatively similar in various ways. And this is actually one way too, like without saying any names, we actually have another friend in our friend group who has struggled with something like what you were talking about relatively closely as well. And whenever our friend was going through that, it was something that I didn't understand at all, because I don't even know if I'd ever heard of male postpartum depression at that point. So I was like, I don't get this. Like, I don't understand. And then the more that I heard him talk about it, the more I was like, okay, now I get what you're talking about. That makes a lot more sense. Is so from your perspective, is more so, or was it more the pressure, like the pressure to provide? Was it that plus just like the lack of sleep, always having to be on your toes, always having to kind of step up in that moment because your wife had pretty much borne the brunt of the load up to that point, so you felt like it was your time to shine? Afterwards, you had to maybe make up some ground there. I'm truly interested in this because I have no idea, no conceptual idea as to like what that would feel like.
So it's interesting that you asked that, because my first initial reaction is everything I've gone through this year since you were at John's wedding, since I woke up in Ben's arms, staring off into the distance as my brain was doing something that was the most fucked up, like, psychedelic experience I've ever had. Because, like, there's a part in The Name of the Wind where he talks about, like, splitting your mind and, like, and being able to do, like, two different things, or three or four different things at a time. I literally could feel my brain in half, witnessing what was happening and knowing the story and all the fear that went with it. But, like, part of me being like, it was like this weird thing where, like, me and this thing that was happening were kind of doing this back and forth. And I could feel, like, my real self, my real brain being like, whoa, what is going on? I can feel this. Like, so through that whole experience, through the, like, 10 meltdowns that I've had this year, what I learned and what finally, like, kicked in for me in June was that every decision I have made in the last 18 months, basically since my son was born, every decision I made was born out of my own insecurities, that I was not good enough. And I think there's a lot of men out there who, and I've talked about this before, I've written about this on my website many years ago about my dad. I didn't have a great relationship with my dad growing up. My dad cheated on my mom twice. I found out about that years later. Like, I adored my mother. My mother was this woman. She hated being married to my dad. It was a verbally abusive household. All I ever wanted to do was go to school, become a famous actor, and make enough money that I could buy my mom a house and she could get the fuck out of there. All I ever wanted to do was save my mom. And because I didn't have that good relationship with my dad, a lot of the things I did in my life as a kid, I never felt good enough to gain his attention, to get his true love, to really get what he needed. Now, I've learned he couldn't give that to me because he couldn't give it to himself. He didn't understand how to do that. He had his own shit. That shit was blocking him from really connecting with me. So all of those insecurities, they morph. And they're like, great, you beat me. Ha 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 ha. It's like fucking Ganondorf. Link always has to fight Ganondorf. And you're like, why the fuck are you coming back? Didn't I beat you like 6 games ago? And you're like back here again? But he always morphs into some new, different, like, evil entity. And that's what I think your insecurities kind of do. And I think a lot of men out there have those insecurities. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not big enough to get on stage as a bodybuilder. I'm not this, I'm not that. Oh, we do something, we become good enough at something, but we're still not good enough at something else. So when something life-changing like having a kid comes in place, you go, oh, fuck, I'm not good enough for this kid. And I think that's what it was for me. It wasn't so much the sleepless nights. It's that now I understand that all of that stuff put me into a space where I already felt I wasn't going to be good enough. My business wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough. What I wasn't doing wasn't good enough. He wasn't going to have the better life that I wanted him to have. Okay, now I've got to work harder. I've got to do more. I've got to do this. And all you're doing is putting more and more on yourself when there's so much little you can already do. when your kid is sleeping for 2.5 hours and then waking up, and then you got to feed him, and then he goes back to sleep, and it takes you an hour to go back to sleep, and then he's up an hour and a half later. Yeah. Like, there's all of that, but all of that was surface. I wasn't getting to the root cause of things. And I think many men who probably have some of those issues probably suffer from postpartum depression because they've never dealt with the stuff. They've never dealt with a fertilizer that allows that stuff to bloom and blossom. And if they had, they might not have postpartum depression as bad or maybe less. And maybe that's taken away from people who, I had a great family life, whatever. Like, there's a whole lot of reasons that people have depression. I think, in my experience, a lot of it is born from not getting what I needed as a kid and not being able to give myself that now. So now it's like, great, how do I do that so that I lessen this depression? But you beat the bad guy, you beat the boss, but the boss always comes back in some way.
Do you think that part of that too could be just an ignorance that male postpartum depression is a thing? Because like I mentioned, I didn't even really know that it was a thing. I knew that postpartum depression was a thing, but in my mind, that was a woman issue, right? Like, whenever I hear postpartum depression, I'm sure that most other people, they don't assume that could be a male or female thing. They just automatically assume that is the woman that would be dealing with that. So if they hear, oh no, that's the father that's actually going through that, in their head, that might immediately be like, what? Like, there's that confusion associated with it, because like the stigma there is the postpartum depression, the struggle after the pregnancy is the woman's, not really the man's. And I get why that would be the case, right? Like, the woman is physically going through the process of carrying the baby, the labor. There's much more of that like emotional attachment to the child from the very beginning. So there's a lot going on there. But in my mind, I could kind of understand why men could struggle so much. And I feel like it could be compounded by the fact that, like, they just don't know what they're experiencing. So it almost feels like they have to push it down and not address it, because they don't even know that postpartum depression for men is a thing.
But I think that goes back to just depression in general. Like,
yeah,
our generation, the friends that we are around, we will openly talk about this more than even the people I went to high school with. Like, even talking to my best friend about this still feels awkward, because he's a little awkward guy, but it doesn't matter. I love him to death. But like, talking with him can feel awkward because I'm like, it feels like you just don't get it. Like, there's still a part of you that's kind of like, oh, I didn't know someone so close to me could actually deal with this. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought it was just something I read about, or like tangentially I experienced. I didn't know someone I actually grew up with and know and love could deal with this. Like, you didn't seem like the kind of person who had those issues.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is just men have been so, I hate to use things like cultured. We are, we're raised to man up, to not, to fight through it, to toughen up, to, men, you don't cry. Don't let them see you cry. Like, we're taught that our emotions are things we just stuff down. And look, if you're on the basketball court and there's like 5 seconds to go and you miss the shot or you get blocked, like, stuff your fucking emotions down. You got 5 seconds left to play. Like, you might have to do that at times, but we don't teach men how to actually process those emotions when they can get to a place where they can let all that go. And I think that's why you see things like, addiction, in men. You see that men kill themselves more statistically than women do, because where else are we supposed to go? I can't go talk to my best friend because he's gonna be like, dude, I don't fucking hear that. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, what? Like, we can't go to a therapist because, well, if you go to therapy, you must be crazy. Only crazy people go to therapy. Like, we gave men all these ideas that to get help means you are lesser than. Like, we'll say damn, shit, fuck, cunt. We'll say all the 4-letter words we want, but we won't say help because it makes us look bad. And I admit, I did that my whole life. Like, I was in advanced math classes, algebra, advanced algebra, trigonometry. I didn't want to raise my hand and ask for help because I was afraid, well, Steven's really fucking smart. And if Steven sees that I'm asking for help, he's going to know that I'm not as smart as him. And then he's going to think I'm dumb. And then everyone's going to treat me dumb. And I'm already the socially awkward ginger kid who already everyone thinks is dumb. Like, I don't want to be dumber. So no, I'm not going to ask for help. I'm just going to figure it out myself.
Well, I definitely get the sports analogy, you know, and we are cultured to a degree. I think that as we're getting further and further removed from previous generations, it's becoming less and less strong on in terms of like the hold that some of these cultural norms have on us, right? So like going back to like our great grandfather, great grandparents generation, like you don't even fucking talk about your feelings. You don't talk about your emotions. Like even women didn't, like no one complained. Like you just fucking suck it up and you do it. Our grandparents, it's a little bit less taboo, but still not really there. Don't fucking talk about it. Like those generations had some hard lives, right? And then our parents started to have it a little bit easier, right? Like you go through the 60s, everyone's a hippie, everyone takes acid, everyone loves each other, and slowly starts to move like into our generation. And now we are okay talking about our feelings. It's not socially taboo. It is okay. Like, you know, you mentioned going to therapy is still kind of like a semi-strange thing, but you know, like here it's almost normalized, right? Like no one thinks any type of way about someone that goes to therapy. And I know that like a lot of people almost pride themselves on the fact they do go to therapy. It's almost like a feather in their cap. Like, oh yeah, I go to therapy. Fuck yeah, I do. Of course, man. Everyone should go to therapy. Like, which I do agree with. Like everyone could benefit from something like therapy. But it's interesting how that dynamic in my mind has shifted. I still do think that there are times whenever the pressure to be emotionally strong falls back on the man. And a lot of those dynamics happen in a family dynamic, because within a family, the man is always thought to be the rock. Like no matter what, like you always have to be, or at least on average, right? Like there are definitely sometimes some families where the woman, the mom, would be more of like that emotional, I guess, like grounding. But more often than not, the man is still expected to be that. And I would say even more so in that postpartum period, because the woman, the mom, has already gone through so much. So whether it's social, whether it's cultural, whether it's just us telling ourselves those stories, we expect ourselves as the men, as the fathers in that situation to step up and be emotionally, psychologically stronger. Like we have to be, because everyone else around us depends on that. Like your wife depended on that. Your son depended on you being stronger in that situation, just like gritting your teeth, bearing down and getting your shit done and making sure that everyone had that stability. You were that stability no matter what. And I think that's where it can come from, right? Like the pressure is culturally imposed to a degree, but in that dynamic, I think that it's almost always still going to shift to the man, because the mother has already physically and emotionally gone through so much. By the time the baby comes, the father has to step up in that role to be supportive. And I think that support sometimes can almost like take you off guard. Again, I'm speaking from someone who doesn't have a child. I've never been a father, but I mean, I could definitely see how the shock of having your life change in an instant, like overnight, like, yeah, this is awesome, it's going to be so fun. And the next day you're like, holy fuck, I'm not going to get sleep for the next 8 months. This is scary. This is terrifying. My wife is also overwhelmed. We're both at each other's throats. Like it just feels like your life is like never going to get back to any semblance of normalcy. And I could totally see how that would just be this incredibly depressing notion. Plus the fact that you now have another mouth to feed, plus the fact that you have 18 years of escalating costs where you're like, how the fuck am I going to deal with this? And
yeah, I am, dude. Years ago, I remember seeing that it cost $265,000 on average to raise a kid for 18 years. And I was like, what can I do with that money? You know what I could do with that money? I could travel to like all the places. Fuck having a kid.
Yeah.
I said that for years. And then the cells in my body, which sometimes I think rule me more than my actual brain. We're like, procreate, procreate, procreate. Like, I was talking about it more than my wife was talking about it.
Dude, no, I totally get that, man. Like for myself, that's outside of the fact that like emotionally and maturity wise, I don't know if I'm ever going to be there to where I would like voluntarily say I'm ready to have a child right now. I think the responsibility is one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's awesome that you would have a child. It's awesome to feel that connection, to procreate, to have like another you running around like that. That's an amazing feeling. But myself, it's like I don't ever, whenever I think about it, I don't see the excitement. I see the responsibility and I see the sacrifices. And
No,
I my brain's ever shift to seeing like the excitement of having a kid, you know?
but this is the thing is I think, and I fully agree. I saw nothing but the responsibility. The responsibility of having a kid terrified me.
Yeah.
There was no excitement. Like I wasn't, and I'm still not, like, there are some dudes I know who are like, they are a dad. And it is like, before they were a dad, they were just a dude. Now they're a dad.
Jordan.
I'm not going to name people. And I like,
Jordan now that Jordan's the dad.
yes, 100%. But I'm not like, that's never been me where I'm not, one, I don't like labels. Like I just like if I go to a sex party and like a dude sucks my dick, does that mean I'm gay? No. Like I just like, I'm going to suck your dick. I'm in the middle of it feeling good. It just happened to be a dude, whatever. Like I don't like labels putting on people because I think we try to live up to that label sometimes more than who we are. So, and I told Deidre this the first time I ever met the amazing human being that is Deidre Hartman, rolling my balls off, by the way, and just like Molly spilling. Like, I didn't know that's what happened when you were on Molly, that you could do that. And I was like, I'm so sorry, Deidre.
Deidre, the best human being. Yes.
Yes. But I told her, I was like, you know, I'm not a dad. I just do dad. Like I'm not a dad. I just do dad things. You know, like that's how I see myself. I'm more than just this label of I'm a dad. You know, like, yeah, I have a kid and I'm a father, but I'm not a father. Like that's not my whole identity.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to become that, because then I'm not going to, maybe I don't do other things. So it's like, well, I can't do that. I'm a father. Oh, I can't do that. I'm a dad. It's like, fuck labels. I'm just a dude who does a lot of stuff, you know, or does interesting. But there are some guys out there that are very much like that. And I think for them, that might be the shift they have, is they have that shift. You know, we're like, some guy, my wife said this, some guys are like a taxi. They run around with their light on for years, and then they find someone and like, nope, that's it. The light is off, and they're with that person. And maybe that's how it is for people being fathers as well. But, you know, I still was terrified of the responsibility, terrified. And this was before my wife took a job where we moved across the state, because we're now basically like a 5-minute walk into the state of Vermont. And she took a $12,000 pay cut to come here because we're closer to grandma. Grandma can have more of a life with our son. So like my wife was making more than I was, but I still had that feeling of I can't provide. I can't give him what he needs. And literally our rent in this townhome was like $1,100.
Yeah.
I had a whole basement, unfinished basement to myself. He had a room upstairs. We had a room upstairs. We had a living room and kitchen. Like, it wasn't the coolest place, but it was fine. Our bills were paid. We were able to do a lot of things. We move over here and you take $1,000 out of your paycheck, or out of what you're normally used to having every month. Like, that would be fine to pay daycare with, but now we're paying daycare with $1,000 less. So yeah, a lot of that stuff. Now I started fretting about responsibility more and more. But yeah, I think men don't know they can get postpartum depression and don't know that it's happening when it happens, and they don't know who to go to. Like, I couldn't call my best friends and be like, hey guys, I need to talk to you, because they're not dads. Like, I could have called our mutual friend Derek Stanley, but like, Derek probably has his own shit that Derek deals with, but god damn it, Derek, your life is so fucking, I don't want to say perfect, but it just seems too goddamn perfect, sir. Like, I don't like, like he's so happy-go-lucky that if I was like, hey, Derek, I'm happy, I don't know if I was too afraid he wouldn't connect with it. And I wasn't.
There are some people that are just like, they are truly happy all the fucking time. And like, man, good for them. Good for them. Like those people that can just brush off anything, that are so chill about all of life's responsibilities and life's burdens and life's fears and all of that shit and uncertainty. I wish I could be like that. I'm way too high strung for that shit. But like, I can only imagine how introducing a child into my own fucking mental chaos would just absolutely throw me off the edge. It would just be such a clusterfuck for my ability to maintain some semblance of normalcy in my life, which is, I feel like sometimes the only thing that tethers me to this reality is like, holy shit, like thank God I still have these few things that I can rely on to be consistent while everything else is just like collapsing around me. And I like having the uncertainty of a child, I feel like would just be so, it would be so challenging. And like, I always respect new parents because being able to like modify your entire life around a little being, and I hate to say it like this, that might turn out to be a fucking asshole.
You're 100%. You have no clue. You don't know what their personality is because they have none at first. They're literally just cry. Give me your tit. Wipe my ass. I'm wet. You have no idea. Like they might smile at you. They might smirk. Their eyes might be really cute, but you have no clue what this kid is going to be. And then they get a little older. You're like, oh, I think I see a personality here. I think I see one. And then it's completely different. And now, like, he's a toddler. And we were very, very lucky. He's a very, very easy kid. We have seen way worse toddler tantrums.
Yeah.
But, like, he'll still throw a little one. And I'm a little like, who the fuck is, like, who are you? This is not you. And like, no, wait, he's a toddler. But, like, yeah, you have no clue. It's like, even with sleep, like, we didn't sleep train. I was very much like, there's a problem. If it's a problem, there's a problem, we can fix it. We can buy a course. We can do this thing. But here's the thing is, it's also the temperament of the child. So maybe your kid is like, I'll sleep train. I'm cool with that. And rather they're like, fuck you. I'm an individual. Damn the man. Like, they're going to do whatever they want to do. And you're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And that's hard. But yes, they can be a little asshole. You have no idea if they're going to be an asshole or the coolest little fucker in the history of the world.
They can also turn out to hate you and never talk to you again after they move out, which, like, dude, it's crazy. You play Russian roulette with your genetic creation, and like on one end you have the potential of literally having the dopest version of a mini me possible, where it's like, this is going to be my best friend. I'm going to be able to watch this little me grow up. I'm going to be able to be there for them, be able to like go to their t-ball games. I'm going to see them, graduate high school, all this fun shit. And then on the other end of that, it's like, wow, this kid could be a nightmare. They could be like this, like a criminal. They could fucking hate me. They could do all of these, they could steal from me. Like all of these horrendous things. And obviously, like, no one wants to think about their child being like the shitty one, but man, it's like, there's a chance, there's always a chance that your kid just like could end up being like problematic. And dude, it's like for me, the weight of that is like so hard to get over and get past whenever I think about like potentially having a kid, because like I have a fucking dog. I'm like, well, at least at the very end of the day, my dog can't be a dickhead to me. Like, she's always just going to be lovey. Like, she's going to love me because she's a dog. Like, that's great, But whenever it comes to a kid, it just feels like, man, it's so hard to get over that initial hump of, this could be awesome. This could be the best decision I've ever made. I could create like the fucking next, I don't know, Jeff Bezos or whatever, just like take over the world. or this person could stab me in my sleep.
I mean, that also can happen with anyone you decide to take out on a date.
That's true. Yeah, I know. That's why I don't take people on dates.
I mean, that's, you can, you could get in your car and be like, do I want to take this drive to the 7-Eleven? I don't know. I could die because a meteor randomly falls, hits this dude beside me, and his iPhone jettisons out of the car and hits me in the neck. Like, you can make up crazy stories about what could happen.
Yeah.
But I this is what I would tell anyone who's worried about being a parent is do some hard work on yourself, talk to a therapist, and find out if this is something you really want to do. Please do not feel pressured by society. When people used to come up to me or my wife and be like, oh my God, when are you going to have kids? I would look them dead in the eye and go, why, yes, I do love fucking my wife. Because that's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
You're asking me, when are you going to have sex with your wife so that you can have a kid? Well, I'm just going to tell you, I love fucking my wife. Like, the end. As awkward as that would be, people would be like, not the answer you expected? Good. Don't ask me when I'm going to have kids.
That's such an annoying question. That plus, like, or if you're not married, like, when are you going to propose? Like, when are you guys moving to the next stage in this relationship? Like, bro, my God, stop pressuring me. Jesus.
Yeah. Like I'm sorry you got married after knowing that person for 4 weeks. Like, that's not how I want to live my life.
I know. Man.
Well, but I would just, do some work, talk to a therapist, figure it out. It is absolutely okay for you to never want to have kids. My wife and I thought that was going to be the case. We kind of had a half-assed conversation about, are we going to do this? Is this really what we want to do? I guess we'll try. And literally, I fucking kid you not, the first try, like, she was tracking her cycle. Like, I knew her shit, when it was on, when it was off, like when we could have sex without protection, like, great. And she literally goes back through and she's like, it was this night. I was like, fuck, we did have sex that night. All right. That was the night that, it was literally like 4 days after we had the conversation. Because we didn't think it would happen. She was almost 40. She's in a larger body. So we thought it's going to be a little harder. We'll try for 6 months. If at the end of 6 months, we're not pregnant, we're going to be the cool aunt and uncle for the rest of our lives. The universe was clearly like, ha ha, fuckers.
At the same time, like, it's a good problem to have, especially if you were actually like discussing that. Like, if it wasn't just a completely out of left field surprise, because on the other end, dude, it's like, fuck, man, I have clients, women that are my clients that have been trying for years. And it's like so heart-wrenching to see them continue to try and have that disappointment. So while yes, that is absolutely fucking wild. It hit on the first try. At the same time, man.
And I we have, I've read about all that as well. Sometimes it's actually the men that are the issue, and it's not
I'm sure a lot of the time.
That are like, with a lot of it is that men don't produce enough. There's a whole lot of reasons why it could be, men can really be the issue, not women. But we soup women up with hormones, and then jack them up, for years to come. So I don't talk about that often because I have friends who've, struggled to have kids and have done IVF. I know how hard that can be. We didn't, we were like, well, our heart, like, we're not really in it to try it. We're not like, yes, like, let's go do this thing. It was just kind of like, if it happens, it happens.
Right.
But I, even a couple of weeks before we had that conversation, we fucking ate an edible, and in the middle of having sex, I had a goddamn existential crisis. Like literally, I went from like enjoying it to like freaking the fuck out because my body was like, you need to procreate. You need to procreate. Like, I heard voices in my fucking head, Bryce. And I was like, no, what? It's just, and I'm like, okay, can we take a break for a second? I gotta hop down. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm really high right now. Really fucking high. And it was weird because I didn't think that I was fine not doing that. I look back at the last couple of years, I'm like, man, I could have paid myself more in my business. All that money, we could have traveled, we could have done this, we could have done that. Like, all the parties, like, she could have come to Mexico for John and Amanda's wedding. Like, we would have done so many more things if we didn't have a kid. But yeah, it's a strange thing, and it's a strange thing to actually go through that process. And it's a strange thing to be one of those people who's like, yeah, I kind of happened the first time. Because I don't want, I know people who struggled. But that is just my story. That is what happened.
Yeah.
So
no, man, let's go ahead and shift into a lighter note as we continue with this. So I want to go back to the writing thing, because for me, writing is like something that's super interesting. It's something that I put a lot of value into myself.
Not good at it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that a lot, actually. No, man, like, how did you start writing? And like, when did you first start feeling like that was like a hobby or a pursuit that you wanted to continue with? And I guess like what were some of the writing habits that you developed over time that felt like, or that you feel were useful for you in your process? Because for me, I know that I have my own habits, my own structure to the way that I like to write, but everybody that I've talked to is very different in that. So I'm very curious as to like your experience with writing and like how you got into it and like how you do it.
So I'm going to remember the second half of habits. Because when you asked about the process, my brain immediately started going into, we should tell a story. First thing I ever wrote, I remember this, I was 4 years old. And we were living in a trailer where my dad was living where we were living until my dad built his dream house. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, and I can still see the place in my mind. I can still see that trailer in my mind. And I was in preschool, and they were trying to teach us how to write our names. And I wrote Robbie. And like, as soon as I wrote the E, I was just like, and ran down the hall. So the first thing I ever remember writing is my name. And I felt this power at that time. Like, there was just something magical about it. Like, I am making these marks, and it gives my name. And I make these marks, and I can say things with these squiggles.
Yep.
So when I was like maybe 6, I started writing detective stories. So I grew up reading, which is weird because for about 15 years, I'd tell you I wasn't a reader, but I actually remember reading quite a bit as a kid. Encyclopedia Brown. I don't know why I read these books, but they were about this like kid detective. So I decided to start writing these detective stories about a detective named Tuesday. Clearly I was ripping off an old detective show with a detective named Friday. But whatever, I'm 6. And I remember writing these stories, because I was reading Encyclopedia Brown. And I loved writing, and I wrote a lot of those stories as a kid. I got into school, and, whenever I had a chance to write, I enjoyed it. I loved writing it. Then I get into like high school and find that like I'm really good at writing papers. Then I get into college and I'm like really good at writing papers, or at least bullshitting why the WWF is exactly like the Roman gladiatorial games. So I'm like writing these things. I got a D in a writing class once though, because it was spring semester and I was partying more than I actually was going to class.
We've all been there.
But I always, yeah. Fall semester is great. You get good grades. Spring semester is like, why the fuck do I now have a 2.8 instead of a 3.5?
I was the opposite, man. I was the opposite. Like fall, I would do shit. And then spring, I'd be like, well, I guess I got to pick it up now.
But I enjoyed writing. I've always enjoyed writing. Once I started my business, that was where writing became even more important. And clearly my early knack of talent for it was enough for John to be like, you can get into my mastermind. Because if you were a shit writer, he wasn't going to let you in. It didn't matter. And still to this day, the greatest compliment I ever got was writing an article about why everyone should watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and having him call me out of nowhere because John hated being on the phone many years ago. He called me and was like, this is one of the best pieces of journalistic writing I've ever read in my life. And I need you to know that I'm calling you right fucking now. And you know how much I hate talking on the phone. That's how good this is. So I will take that one to my grave. But I've always enjoyed it. I have an idea in my head for a novel that I want to write.
Yeah.
Just have to get over the whole, like, it's not Harry Potter. It's like, you know, like you want it to be this thing that it's not because you haven't even put anything down yet, dumbass. You gotta at least write it first. So I've always enjoyed it. I've been good at it. And I think just I've written so much since I started my business because John harped on this is how you communicate with people.
Yeah.
Do your video. Do all that shit you want to do, but people are going to Google shit. They're going to find you. Like, writing the written word is always going to last longer than some video on Instagram or YouTube. Which is true, but true in a majority. Maybe not now for YouTube because you can have an 8-year-old video that still gets like 100,000 views a day. But
well, I'll add my 2 cents to that. I think that whenever it comes to written word versus spoken word, people are forced to pay attention to the written word in a way that you can kind of zone out whenever someone is speaking, right? Like if you want to understand what is being said with written word, you have to be undistracted, right? Like you have to be really zoned in. And also you can appreciate good writing a little bit better than you can good speaking. If you're around someone who is like a phenomenal orator, that's different, right? But someone who just can communicate very clearly through words, whenever it's written, or even like really good copy, anything like that, right? I feel like it's easier to appreciate that whenever it's written versus whenever it's spoken because so many people like they zone out or they like multitask whenever things are being said, especially YouTube, right? Like I watch YouTube videos or listen to YouTube videos whenever I'm doing other shit. Like I'm just paying attention to the gist rather than like the words, right? So I think there's an attention that written words command that spoken words don't, especially in like the media that we consume today. You know, if it's given like a commencement speech or something like that, I feel like that's a little bit different because you're not able to be on your phone. You're not, you know, doing a bunch of other shit at the same time. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents there.
No, I would agree with that. And I hope that it stays that way.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
You know, because writing is such an amazing technology that humans created because, you know, the Odyssey, the Iliad, that was spoken.
Yeah.
They didn't write that down. That was spoken. So when it was finally written down, either that story was completely remembered or the original is so far from what we actually have that it's just a completely different story.
Well,
More than likely,
the fact that it was remembered in the way that it was is still fucking insanity. I mean,
right.
I don't even know how many stanzas it is because like it's technically a poem. Right. But dude, I mean, it's a fucking long book. Like the Iliad, well, they're both long. They're both long as fuck.
Yeah.
So like, for someone to just remember that shit is insanity. And I was reading something about how they probably morphed the stories pretty heavily to make them have like what is the word for pace in a poem? God damn it, I can't think of it.
Info?
Tempo, but there's an actual word for it that I'm blanking on right now. But either way, they probably like morphed the stories like pretty heavily just to be able to remember them better because we remember poems, songs much better than we remember like a fucking essay, you know? But either way, yeah, it's insane. It's insane that was like a spoken story. It was a tale for like 500 years before anybody even wrote it down.
Yeah. And you know, we went from hieroglyphics, which is basically like emojis, to written words. And they are really just scribbles. They're just symbols or sounds. They're symbols for sounds. And those sounds together can create meaning that can crush a heart, can fill you with love, can put a sword in your hand and willing to kill someone. Like, it's amazing what it can do. My habits around writing, I try to write every day. in some capacity. Some days it's more, some days it's less. Before I had my kid, oh my God, dude, my morning routine was so fucking nice. Wake up, I would read for 30 to 45 minutes, and then I would work on something, an article that I was just something that intrigued me that I wanted to work on, whether it was like writing about, motivation and like why we get it, why we lack it, whether it was about like some nutrition thing that I wanted to write about, or like how to fill your triceps or some shit. And I would just spend 45 minutes working on it. Now my day is truncated by kid is at daycare by 8:30. I have to pick him up by 3:45. I got to get an hour and a half workout in because now I have to do fucking cardio because TRT, fuck you. But I got to do it anyways. Like, oh, I got check-ins. Like everything is much smaller in the time that I have allowed. So I don't have like 6 hours where I can just spend 6 hours writing one thing.
Yeah.
But I do try to write something every day. I try to read every day because a lot of what inspires me to write comes from my either lived experience or something that I've read. Sometimes it's an original idea. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's from something the client says. Sometimes it's something else. I'm very bad sometimes about editing while I write, which you really shouldn't do. But I just get obsessed with like one spot. And I'm like, okay, now I'll move to the next thing. I've always liked what John always said about how he would write using King Arthur the Round Table. That the castle wasn't built and then they brought the round table in. The round table was put there first and they built the castle around it. So when you're writing, what is the point? What is the round table? What is the essence, the heart of the piece? Write that, build everything else around it. And sometimes that's how I'll do something. I'll have an idea. I'll have something I want to say. I write that. Great. Now, how do I lead into it?
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's, all right, I need to rant on something.
Go ahead.
I'll rant on it. Then I'll go write a headline. Social media stuff tends to be like a day of kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know everyone says plan ahead, but I don't. Like, I hate writing for social media. I would rather write a long form thing that I can sink my teeth into, that I have to do research on, that makes my brain work. Like, I'm going to get 10 likes on this. Great. And you're going to scroll to the next fucking thing and then go, I'm going to get this keto pill. Fuck you. You didn't just read what I wrote. Like, I want something I can sink my teeth into. So I would say good writing habits are read every day, write every day, even if it's 500 words. Read everything. Don't just read self-help books or business books. Read fiction. Read fiction and nonfiction. Swap them off. Read anything and everything. And then find other writers who you're just like, fuck, I really love reading your stuff. I know everyone waxed poetically about Ryan Holiday, and Ryan's great. His first book inspired my wedding vows. I told him that once, and he was like, no one's ever told me that. It's the first time anyone's ever told me that. And he's great, but like, it's simple, it's like simple shit. However, his research assistant, Billy Oppenheimer, is fantastic. And I love the way Billy looks at stuff. So I started following him on Twitter, subscribed to his email list. Obviously, Mark Manson's made kind of a shift in how he does things via email now. I kind of like old Mark a little more. But find subjects that you love to just read and take in. Find other, nonfiction authors or fiction authors that you love. Trying to imitate their style. Try to take an article that Bryce has written. Or not, or someone else, in the industry, if you're a fitness person, put it in your Google sheet, copy and paste it in. And then I want you to rewrite what they said in your own words.
Yeah.
Even if it's about a squat, rewrite it. And then you start to go, oh, this is how I would say it if this person says it. You can take some of their voice and make it your own. You can play with that stuff. But you can't be a good writer if you're not reading, and you can't be a good writer if you're not writing. So you kind of got to do both those things every day. And the most important habit I would tell you is, again, John has said this numerous times, and I think Stephen King said it originally, you have to be okay with killing your darlings. If you're like, I want to make this joke and it's going to be hilarious and everyone's going to love it, and you read it and you go, I really want to keep that in there because I laugh at it, you probably need to cut it. Like, if you're looking at it going, I could probably cut that, but like, I want to keep it in there.
Yeah.
Like, I just made a post today about opening up about microdosing for my postpartum depression. And I had a joke in there about, well, the dosages are not like what you would use if you were going to do like I did that one time. I popped 5 grams and watched Shawn-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings. And I was like, fuck, I have to cut that. Like, I want people to know that was an awesome movie to trip my balls off to watch, but it's not needed. You know, like, it's just there for me.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because well, for one, I really appreciate you talking about all that stuff. And I agree with a lot of it as well. Like, I definitely agree with the reading, and I agree with reading every day. I agree with writing as often as you possibly can. For me, I struggle a lot with sitting down and writing for like 30 minutes or writing even for an hour, because I feel like I can't fully switch my brain into the task of writing. It feels very rushed. It feels like I can't think deeply about whatever it is I'm saying. So then I feel like I'm doing like substandard work, right? It feels very much like I'm staying on the surface, but I almost need like 3 or 4 hours of like, don't fucking talk to me. I'm closing my blinds. I'm turning my lights dim in my office, and I'm just going to think hard for the next 3 or 4 hours while I'm writing whatever it is I'm writing. And then all of a sudden at some point, it just feels like things are pouring out of me, and it just all is falling into place. I know some people can get by with like, I'm going to work on this article, 30 minutes at a time, 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon. I'm going to do it every day. Dude, I'm not like that at all. Like, it takes me so much time to shift my brain into a task that is like as cognitively demanding as like really good writing is. And, I feel like for myself, I've gotten a lot better at writing because I've been practicing for, quite a long time. And I read a lot. So like, I know the things that I like personally in a writing style. And I also know the things I really fucking hate in a writing style. But whenever it comes to my own like articles and essays and things that I put out, one piece of advice that I gave to myself that I feel like would be very helpful is like, write things that I would be interested in reading, or write advice for me, right? So like, if you're speaking to yourself, if you're writing about, hey, like, do this nutritional intervention. Hey, like, this is why sleep is important. Hey, this, that, whatever. If you're writing to some made up audience, it is going to miss the mark. It's like always going to miss the mark. But if you're writing, basically, like, if it feels like you're reminding yourself of something that you already know, and you're going through all the reasons why you should not forget it next time, and you should like, hey, fucking pay attention, dumbass. And if you write like that, I've found that your writing tends to be not only better, but also more digestible. There's a lot less bullshit that you tend to add in that could just be like, it's wow, superfluous. Wow, that I felt like I just had a short circuit there. But anyway, like, that way of going about writing, that way of thinking whenever I approach any kind of essay or article has helped me immensely, because I feel like it takes the pressure off of like, oh, other people are going to read this. Whenever I think about it, it's like, I'm going to read this. I'm going to write for myself. Then I'm an audience of one at that point. So if other people find interest in it, it's like, great. But like, I know that for me, this is something that I want to hear. I need to be told again. I'm going to remind myself of this, and I'm going to write in a way that like, I will be able to digest it. I will understand it. I'm not going to use big words for the sake of using big words. I'm just going to write and be very very direct, be very blunt, be very clear. And that has led to the best writing that I've done.
I think that's, Neil Gaiman's 2012 commencement speech is something I try to watch at least once a month. I'm not always perfect with it. But he talks about that, that if he did the work for the money, then he would have the money, but he wouldn't have the work. But if he did the work, didn't make any money, at least he would have the work. And I think that is a sign of a true writer, is someone who knows, hey, I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to write something that I want to write, that I want to read. and you do it, and in the end, you feel good about it.
Yeah.
And there's probably 99% of the articles on my website that's the exact case for me. I wrote it. I felt good about it. It challenged me in numerous different ways. But writing the things, like to just write them so that someone likes it on Instagram, like, God, I hate doing it, but it's like, all right, I guess I'm supposed to be in your feed every single day so that you see this shit. That's the stuff I hate.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I want to spend 3 hours. I want to be like, I don't interrupt me. Like, I don't exist. My phone is off. Do not call me. Do not try to be like, hey, want to come have sex? No, I am not in a sexy good time mood right now. Like, I don't want to do anything fun but this.
No, that's
like,
how.
Yeah. I want to do this and be focused on this. And again, that shifts, having a kid, like, I have to find those times. I have to be more ruthless about those times for me. And I know creatively that's been the thing I've been really struggling with since my son was born, is finding that time. And it's just been like moments. There's only been moments, not every day where I have it.
It's strange too, because like, I mean, I like thinking of writing, of like the creative spirit of writing very much. It's the muse, right? It's like, it is the best way of thinking about whenever you sit down and write. Like, you can try as hard as you can to summon the muse, but like, she has to kind of just show up on her own terms, right? Like, you just have to continue to do the work, continue to sit there until, she appears. And it's really hard to summon that whenever there's a lot of pressure, whenever you know that there's time constraints, right? Whenever you know that, like, fuck, I need this to happen right now, because then it's just not going to happen. Like, then the pressure to make it happen is going to overwhelm the ability to actually have it happen. So, like, I obviously, again, I don't have that type of pressure. I don't have those restraints on me. I am luckily able to, like, carve out some time in the week. I don't know really how anymore, but like, I do at times make that time to be able to sit down and write, like, long form articles. But some of my best work that I've been able to do is literally like all in one go. Like, I'll sit down and I will just write for like, 7 or 8 hours, and it'll end up being like, 8,000 words or something like that. And like, I don't even edit it. I'm like, I'm not going to edit this. I'm not even going to go back and reread it. Like, I'm confident with it. Cool. I'm going to post it. I'm going to publish it, and we're good. But dude, getting over the fear of like publishing that at the beginning was very hard for me. Like, it was very hard for me to actually like feel confident enough in my long form writing to feel like I was worthy of having like a blog, right? It's like, why the fuck would anybody care about what I'm writing? Like, why should I feel like I am able to put my stuff on the internet, my thoughts on the internet, without just polluting everybody's air, right? So it took me a while to get over that, but I feel like that was like a big stepping stone for me whenever I started to just, again, think about like, bro, just write for you. Write for you. This isn't like you trying to entertain other people. If people find value in it, they'll continue to come back. They'll continue to stick around. They'll continue to read what you put out. But just the ability to like put my thoughts down on paper and really analyze them until I was forced to be more clear with my own thinking. Dude, that's like carried over into everything that I do in a way that I don't think could have happened without me being much more deliberate about writing. It just, again, it forces you to clarify your thoughts in a way that like speaking doesn't.
Yeah, because you can speak something and forget it and not have to think about it. When you write it down, there's the physical manifestation of that coming from here all the way down into your fingers, and you have to see it. Like, sure, you can erase it if you have a pencil, but like, you don't fully erase it. You still see the shadows.
Yeah.
You still know what was written there. And I think it forces you to slow down, because you can be a fast talker, but you have to be a slow thinker.
Yeah. I like,
if you really want to get there, because my brain is, I even see with my kid, like, I had a speech impediment growing up because my brain moved faster than my mouth could move. So I couldn't speak words. Like I was a sentence and a half ahead here than I was here. But writing completely eliminates that. Completely eliminates that.
So it's funny because I feel very much the same way. My brain works a lot faster than my mouth does, and my mouth works a lot faster than my fingers do whenever it comes to like typing or writing. So one thing that I have found a lot of use in is recording voice notes that are transcribed. So like I'll record a voice note. I'll use a software that transcribes that, but I'll just talk about something that I want to write about for like 10 or 15 minutes and just ramble. And then I'll transcribe that. And then what I'll do is I'll go back through the transcription and clip out things that I actually want to expand on. And then I'll use that basically as like my rough draft or my outline to then build the entire article into. And that I feel like eliminates the empty page syndrome, where you're already starting with something. Yeah, it's ugly. You need to go back and, definitely beautify it. You need to switch a lot of shit up. Structurally, it's going to be pretty, nasty. But that's helped me a ton with saving a fuck ton of time, and then also being able to just like, again, get as many thoughts about whatever topic it is out without worrying about putting them in a specific structure, a specific order, using the right words from the very beginning. It's like, just get it all out, word bomb it as much as you possibly can in 10 or 15 minutes, and then worry about the structure later.
Yep. I've done that with video. I'll just record myself. When I'm stuck, I'll just record myself, get up, move around, walk around, let myself get animated. Like talking to myself. Is that really what you're trying to say? Like, are you trying to say that? Fuck no, I'm not trying to say that. This is what I'm trying. And then I get to the point of what I'm trying to get to. And I'm like, fuck, that's what I need to write.
Yeah.
Audio, video, all of that. And a good walk. Just get the fuck outside.
There's nothing that will clear your head like a walk. Like, and don't bring your phone. Leave your phone at home. Go walk with nothing to do except for look at nature, look at the houses, look at the sun. Like, it's amazing how much your thoughts can like clarify and crystallize whenever you have nothing to do but just walk around for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say walking's been one of the things through a lot of the stuff I've been going through this year since that psychedelic experience. Where like it gave me the break that I needed to like finally hear the deep inner stuff that I needed to hear, because I didn't have my phone. I'm walking and crying at the same time. Like I'm asking all these and I can finally hear because I'm not staring at my phone. I'm not trying to distract myself by watching another episode of Clone Wars. Like, okay, I can just like get outside. I can go do this thing.
Yep.
Like it's huge. It's huge. And I hate it in winter because I refuse to go outside if it's below 25 degrees. Like, I don't want to know it.
I have a treadmill in the house. It's seriously such a fucking lifesaver. Like it was pretty cheap. Like I don't remember where we got it, but we got it a couple of years ago. We got it whenever Lex, my girlfriend, I don't know if have you met Lex?
Was she at the Halloween party?
No, I don't think you've met Lex because she wasn't at John and Amanda's either. But we got it whenever she was in prep a couple of years ago. But dude, we get so much use out of it. And like, whenever it's cold in the mornings, I don't want to go outside, but I always have to take like a 20-30 minute walk in the morning just to like get myself moving, get my blood warmed up, and just kind of allow me to ease into my workday a little bit more naturally. And dude, it's a fucking lifesaver. It's absolutely a lifesaver to have a treadmill at home. So anybody who's listening, if you don't have a treadmill, fucking invest in a treadmill at home.
Yeah, I've thought about it being like, I mean, it is a business expense.
It is a business expense. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Everything's a business.
I don't want to, I am going to say this and I'm going to ruffle some feathers, and that's fine. I hate people who have a walking desk, a treadmill desk.
Well, I don't get how people.
I can't. There's no way I could do that at the same time.
No, I don't get it.
And this is my main issue with it. If you can't stop work long enough to go get a 30 or 45 minute walk in, you need to really re-examine. And I get it. It allows people to move more during their day. Take a fucking break from work. What you're doing, like, you are not trying, like, you're not doing universe saving work, more than likely, unless you're like writing a speech for the president. Like you're not doing anything that taking a 30-minute walk.
You can work from your phone. Like that's the thing is like everyone can work from their phone. Like if you're answering emails, you can work from your phone. If you're doing something for like your social media, you can work from your phone. If you're like, for me, I have to carve out chunks of my day just to reply to text messages because I don't have my phone on me all day. Otherwise I would lose my fucking mind. So what I have to do is I have to say, all right, this 15-minute chunk, I'm going to be on my phone. I'm going to reply to text. I'm going to reply to Instagram, whatever. And with that, I just take a walk, reply to text messages, go on Instagram, reply to DMs, do whatever I need to there. And then I come back, put my phone away, and then I get back to work. So I definitely agree with you. I know people have the bicycle, like the pedal desks, whatever they're called. I can see those a little bit more because you're not like bouncing up and down. You're not worried about stepping off the treadmill. I'd worried that I was about to bust my ass. I also don't know how people can type while walking. Like I feel like I would be all fucked up.
But it's like it's such a slow pace. I think it bothers me because I'm like, yes, it allows people to be more active, but like, why are we allowing that thing to come into a space where you're working too much? Like, yeah. I think that you're enabling people to take something that is healthy and add it to something that, like, not that work is unhealthy, but like, if that's the only way you can get your movement is during your work, maybe we need to rethink like work.
Well, again, I'm very much of the mindset that like most things that are work these days can be done mobile. Like they can be done on the go. So most people can, whether you have an iPad, whether you have a phone, whether you're on a call, whatever, you can generally afford to be walking around outside of your home office. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Either way, dude, I really appreciate you being on here with me. I appreciate the conversations. I know that, some of these things were a little bit more, I don't say vulnerable because you've talked about them, you're more comfortable talking about it, but obviously like it is pretty deep. So I do really appreciate you opening up about those things. But yeah, man, I would love before we go for you to plug yourself, let people know where they can find you, like where they can reach you if they want to reach you, things like that.
So obviously Instagram, SideQuest Fitness, SideQuest. Obviously that goes back to my nerd stuff, playing RPGs and video games. I'm glad we did. If we talk video games, this would be a 3-hour conversation, which I'm always up to doing because that's my other favorite passion in life. So maybe instead of the novel, I read a video game. Maybe that's when I turn the novel in. You can find me there on Instagram. SideQuestFitness.com is where you can find anything I've written. And then Facebook is just Robbie Farlow, ROBBIE FARLOW. You can follow me on Twitter at SideQuestFM because I used FM for when I had my podcast. I mostly just post stupid thoughts on, like, don't come to Twitter and expect some like deep shit or like fitness shit. I'm mostly just like, what do I do with all these old emo lyrics that I had on AOL Instant Messenger? I'll just put them up on Twitter every once in a while. Or when I want to bitch about sports, I'll put something up on Twitter.
That's what Twitter's for anyway, dude. But no, man, again, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for doing this. And yeah, we'll definitely have to do it again soon. Let you talk some video games.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.